What is up? I am NYJohn, and I'm bringing you a presentation of 5 Stars versus Team QT. This is the Go for Dota Saturday Night Cup, and we have two teams facing off here in the finals. It is best of one throughout the tournament. We've been following Team 5S, 5 Stars rather, and they are hailing from Colombia. I was corrected as earlier. I knew they were South American, but I did say Brazil, so let me correct myself and say they are actually from Colombia, and I should have known from the flag as well. So I was corrected in that, and today, or at least right now rather, they're playing Team QT, who we haven't gotten to see quite yet today, but 5 Stars have a really strong game too. In their first game though, it was a very close game, went more than 50 minutes, and they ended up pulling out with the win. We'll see what they can do in this one, and QT, right off the bat, going to pick up a Chaos Knight. Let's run through the bans though. They went down really quickly. I didn't even get to do a full intro because of it. So we can see Team QT took out Lycan as well as Nature's Prophet and Leshrac, while Team 5 Stars took out Darkseer, Naga, and Tide. So interesting choices for 5 Stars, taking out Tide in the banning. This is the second time I believe they've done that, and perhaps they just don't like to play against him, but not the worst option, of course. It's nothing like a throne ban, and perhaps they had something in mind when they wanted to get 2 heroes out of this trade. Chen is available. They also have Invoker available. I'm probably seeing an Invoker and a Leshrac. Oh no, Invoker and Enigma. There's Enigma and Invoker. So those are going to be the hero picks for 5 Stars. So starting off strong for them. We'll see what the response is going to be coming out from QT. They're going to pick up Rubik and Venomancer. So picking up 2 possible support heroes. Perhaps Rubik could be a carry as well. We'll see how they want to implement him when we get into the actual game. For now, QT still have a pretty open lineup. They can go for another semi-carry. They can go for a long laner. Meanwhile, 5 Stars kind of indicating their setup by picking up that Broodmother as well. They have a long laner, a jungler, and a solo. Where they want to put everybody, not quite sure yet. It should be fairly obvious. Enigma should be in the jungle, Invoker probably mid, Broodmother bottom, and we'll see if Kazers can have another magnificent game on that solo middle role where he dominated the last match and did really well in the match before that as well as a solo windrunner. And a ban going to come out. They're going really quickly again. Team QT take out Shadow Demon. Of course, he combos up very well with Invoker, so that's probably the reasoning behind that. They also take out Lone Druid, and no need to justify that ban. That is always a good idea. Meanwhile, 5 Stars take out Ancient Apparition. For obvious reasons, he is very strong when you put him up with a Chaos Knight. And their last ban will be Sand. So they take him out. He's an obvious counter to Broodmother, so perhaps with the Tidehunter ban, they had Broodmother in mind and figured they could try and get a little bit of a help and pick up the Sanking ban in the second banning phase, as QT didn't want to pick him up in their first picking phase. So they get away with that, take out some of the counters, and we'll see how QT respond here. What are they going to do to cope with the Broodmother? They're just going to try and go hyper aggressive in the early game. There's still a jungling option in Enchantress, as well as Chen is still in the pool. So making it through both banning phases, not too common for him to be available at this late of a stage of the game. And as I mentioned in an earlier cast, you really do get a pretty decisive advantage when you have a jungler up on the opponents, unless they're running a very aggressive tri-lane, unless they're getting a lot of merits out of their tri-lane, then they can justify not having a jungler. But when you have a jungler and the opponent doesn't, otherwise you're getting more farm, more experience, and just overall better experience. But Queen of Pain will be the pickup for QT, so it looks like aggression is going to be their game plan for the time being. 5 Stars have a response here. They're going to need some support heroes. They have Broodmother, they have Invoker and Enigma, so they have a carry. What do they want to go for? Morphling is available. He wouldn't be a bad idea as the final carry. They can put Broodmother in the long lane, then let him do his thing. And then as a support, they can go for Crystal Maiden. Wouldn't be a bad option. What else is in the pool? Lich wouldn't be that bad, I guess, if you really wanted him. They could also pick up an Earthshaker if they wanted to. It's not a bad idea. The long range stun. So we'll see what they actually want to go for. Rubik looks like he's going to be support, though, based on that Queen of Pain pickup, unless Queen of Pain is going the long lane. Windrunner's still in the pool, too. They're going to pick up Alina, though. So look at that. It looks like Team QT have a battle plan in mind. Oh, and excuse me, as I did forget to switch the screens over. So let me do that quickly. And it's on a 2-minute delay. So it's going to be a little bit late. And look at that. It looks like... Interesting. I'm going to move this a little bit. There we go. So, guys in chat, thank you for letting me know. I totally forgot about that. So, these are going to be the teams. They pick up Morphling, so it was the Morphling Crystal Maiden pick. That seems pretty straightforward. So a strong lineup on 5 stars, a pretty unique lineup on Team QT, and we'll see how they can execute. It's going to come down to that. If they can get a good early game going, they certainly have a good opportunity to blow up 5 stars on the back of Chaos Knight as well as Queen of Pain. And the laning phase is going to be interesting how they want to set this up, as they don't really have a solo mid. So if they're going to try and duo it, if they're going to put Rubik there as well as Chaos Knight. And about to get into it, we'll see who's playing what hero for 5 stars. We have 8A, the carry player, playing Morphling. We have Not Magori playing the Broodmother. Prestigay playing Crystal Maiden. Mr. Columbia playing the Enigma. And Kazers playing the Invoker. And for Team QT, we have FLN playing Rubik. It's going to be Rick Zoo on top of Lena. Zog playing the Chaos Knight. The Russian playing Venomancer. And Stereo playing Queen of Pain. I'm not even going to try and pronounce whatever the other word is. So we'll call him Stereo for the game. And here we go. It looks like 5 have been aggressively moving from 5 stars. They're going to head towards the jungle. Meanwhile, 3 men. It looks like there's going to be aggressive tri lane coming out from Team QT. We'll see how well they're able to execute with that. If it goes in their favor or not. They're going to need to get kills off the back end of it. Of course, Venomancer does allow a little bit of pushing option as well once you get Plague Ward levels up. But in a tri lane, you can't rest on levels as they aren't assured. But the aggressive ward coming out on the bottom lane. Look at this placement from 5 stars. Throwing it really far forward. And will do a good job of getting them vision of this jungle.
The battle begins.
But little do they know, it's only going to be a solo down here. It's just going to be Queen of Pain, so this ward may not pay off as much as they want it to, but Queen of Pain solo should be pretty safe as well.
Invisibility.
Against Morphling and Crystal Maiden, it'll be an interesting matchup. I wonder if Crystal Maiden's going to stay down here or rotate a little bit. In fact, it could just be a 1v1 in the long run. Enigma going to try and jungle the aggressive jungle. This is a very interesting strategy from 5 stars. Deciding to go aggressive on the long lane. We'll see how that pans out, because it is pretty high risk choice if they didn't know where the tri lane was. But now that they know the tri lane is top, it's not as risky. Broodmother's going to have a tough time up here, but there's nothing to spot off the invisible Broodmother, so they don't really have the opportunity to take her out. Zog, meanwhile, will get good CS on the lane, and these supports are going to have to roam. It looks like they're going to look to middle early on, and perhaps trouble for Invoker. Kazers needs to be a little bit cautious. He needs the MIA calls from his team to try and get out of danger's way as the invisible Russian, Russian actually runs out of invisibility, but he could set something up. Venomous Gale is so strong early on. The ping is on Kazers. They toss him up in the air with the telekinesis. In comes the support. Can they get off a Gale? Yes, they can. They're in range, but Lena needs to go into tower range to try and get a stun off, and it looks like Russian's taking up the tower. Can they hit him with a stun? The light array strike, they're not going to need it. Day's going to go down. Can they take out the Russian with the board? No, the Russian lives. Kazers drops first blood for the Radiant team. Oh, wow. Mr. Columbia coming in. He's going to look for the kill on the Russian, but the stun comes out from Lena. Stops Mr. Columbia in his tracks, and he's going to put a Gale back on Mr. Columbia. He may be in trouble now, but it looks like under the tower, the Russian is going to drop on the top end of the play. Meanwhile, Mr. Columbia drops as well, so a 1-for-1 trade there. Kazer's going to continue on to FLN. FLN may be in trouble. This Rubik needs to back up soon, otherwise the cold snap comes out, and now he's going to be, oh no, back comes Lena, and now makes things interesting once again. FLN going to toss him down, the light array rather stunned to follow up, and the auto attacks are not enough to finish him. He escapes with his life. FLN couldn't deal enough damage to take him out there, and they will leave and be happy with that trade. Getting the first blood's really important, and then they got that 1-for-1 trade, and now Kazer's going to try and just take off the pot on Rubik, who is out of mana, so pretty safe harassment going on there. And that ping came up on top of Invoker right before the gank actually happened, and I feel like he was a little bit too late on the reaction. If he had backed up, he could have been a lot more safe, as that tower almost took out the Russian without him even dying. If he had been more so under the tower range, it would have been a very difficult kill attempt for Team QT, but instead, telekinesis on the middle lane. The stun to follow. Kazers may go again. He's in a lot of trouble with the auto attacks. They need about 3 more attacks. There it goes. Oh, the Fate Bolt, and down he goes in the middle lane. Kazers is dead yet again. The second death for Invoker early on. Lena making her presence felt as coming up well with that nice telekinesis usage. The Russian, meanwhile, going to rotate down. He does put up a sentry ward in the top lane, so they'll be able to get some eyes on top of Broodmother and perhaps cope with him a little bit more efficiently. On the bottom lane, we have Stereo doing pretty well against the essential triple lane. We see his farm is 10 for 2, so not that far behind Morphling. They can't really push him off the lane as much as they'd like to. It will be difficult for them. 8A and Prestige would have to dive him to really try and get anything going. And they will have enough damage output around level 5 to try and go for a kill. But even then, it's still going to be a little bit risky if there's any TPs in. Here's a nice Frostbite, and they're going to follow it up with some damage, but you see, out of harm's way pretty easily as the waveform misses and blinks away. It's going the typical build, 1 into Shadow Strike, 2 into Scream, and 1 into Blink at level 4. Mr. Columbia, meanwhile, is in the aggressive jungle, having a great old time. He's about to pick up level 3. However, he did drop once already this game. Dive on the top lane, though. The stun on top of Amna Magori, followed up by the 2-second stun from the Chaos Bolt, and down he goes. Zog gets the last hit. Broodmother drops in the top lane, and that is not what 5 stars need going for them right now. They're down 4-1 in kills at 4 minutes into the game. The aggressiveness of the lineup picked by Team QT is paying off thus far. Telekinesis on top of Invoker in the middle lane. FLN to follow up with some auto attacks, but nothing else will come of it as he will back off safely. You can see the real effect of Fade Bolt is not only the damage, but the damage reduction. Minus 26 damage this early on in the game. That's half of the damage Invoker has to offer. You can see if he tries to trade auto attacks, he cannot do so effectively. Oh, and FLN going to come in from behind. Cases maybe in trouble yet again. He's going to put off a cold snap, and the tower's going to chain off autos. Can he get the kill here? He tornadoes him up, but no, he's going to go down again. FLN with another kill in the middle lane. He's on a dominating streak and looking so strong early on. And they're going to need to start rotating the Crystal Maiden. This is the same problem we saw Ward come into in the last game, is that they did not move their supports early enough. Morphling can manage his own on this bottom lane for the most part. As long as he has his Strength Morph available, it's going to be really difficult for Queen of Pain to be able to take him down. So they need to rotate the Crystal Maiden around, perhaps make the middle lane a little bit more safe, or give them more gank opportunities. Same thing can be said about Enigma. They could probably put him back in their jungle, and then it'll make the dives on the top lane a much more difficult when you have a Malefice stun coming in, as well as potentially a Black Hole when he gets level 6. So need to act quickly, though, as they're not really getting anything out of this bottom lane. You can see the CS battle is still, it's 12-2 for Queen of Pain, but she's picking up the levels, and that's the important part on Queen of Pain. Getting solo experience, she's almost level 5. Getting those levels up, that's all she needs. She can skip out on farm for the time being, because with Scream of Pain, you can... Scream of Pain. Scream of Pain, it's called Scream of Pain, I was right. I'm trying to trick myself. With Scream of Pain, you can farm really quickly and catch back up really easily. Meanwhile, she may run into Enigma in the jungle. No, they take opposite paths. The Soul Ring is up for Enigma, so a good pickup for him. Pretty much an essential item choice. FLN a little bit back in the middle lane. Does know that Enigma is missing, so wants to play a little bit cautiously. So probably wise on his half. Zog is going to kill off the Broodlings, which will just send Adam a little bit reckless. Just giving him a little bit of extra free gold. And the Russian still has a lot of wards, so Vision is in their favor. He's doing a good job sacrificing all of his gold so that they can get eyes on this Broodmother. And look at this, a rotation back from Lena. So now he may be in trouble if they drop off a ward. They're going to see him straight off the bat as he is right next to them. But instead they're going to go right by the tower. And Rikzu is going to end up pulling the creep wave. Pulling the enemy creep wave will allow him to put damage on the tower, but I'm not sure this was intentional. He's going to pull it to a neutral camp. And now all these creeps are going to go on the tower. It's going to try and force Broodmother to try and pull the creep wave away. But instead she's going to be bullied out from under the bottom of the tower, and they're going to try and take down the tier 1 tower here. This could be a big pickup early on, as they do have a kill lead 5-1. Team QT looking very solid in the early game right here. And down it goes. Chaos Knight gets the last hit, so his farm looking substantial as Chaos Knight has an Urn of Shadows already picked up, as well as Treads. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, we see 5 stars grouping up. They're going to try and get a tower of their own in response. They're going to run into Stereo here, but they're not going to get a stun off on him. Prestige was looking for the the Frostbite, but he could not get it in time. And they're just going to pile damage onto the tower. Eidolons as well as a Siege Creep. They should be able to take it down to around half health when all is said and done. It depends on the glyph, of course. Yeah, so half health is probably where it will rest. Stereo coming in from behind, though. He's actually thinking about going on this. If he gets a TP, he could probably deal a little bit of damage. There's a TP. It's going to be Lena coming in. Oh, as well as Venomancer. And now he goes in. Stereo in the middle of the fight. Columbia going to take some damage. And now Prestige is going to take a lot of damage. Will he drop? Mr. Columbia is going to drop first. And it looks like Lena's going to go down as well. The Russian trying to take out Prestige, but he cannot do so. 8A lives throughout the whole fight, gets the kill on the Russian. Ends up being a 3-for-1 trade in favor of 5 stars. Well played by them there. And now On the top lane, we see Brewmothers being harassed by Zog.